Hello! We are going to learn about dialectical journal entries, and this is another way to take notes. It's also a way to help you better comprehend whatever it is that you're reading. It could be fiction, it could be nonfiction, it could be something for your health class, for your English class, eventually when you're a sophomore, your world history class. So we're going to go through and talk about the handouts that I've already given you. Here we go. Okay, so this is a sample dialectical journal page. Let's start by looking at this. So what we do is we have two sides, and on the left side, you're going to put a quote. You're going to copy it exactly, and you're going to put the page number if there is one, and it could be line number if you're reading a poem or a play or something like that, which you will probably do as you move through high school. On the right side, you're going to do three things. You're going to paraphrase, and that is taking information and putting it into your own words. You're going to do some analysis. That's what the information reveals, why it matters, etc., etc. And then create some kind of a connection. How do you relate to it, or ask a question? So you're going to have a quote, and you're going to do all three of these things for that quote. Here you'll have another quote. You're going to do all three of these again for that quote, and so on. Let's go over here and take a look at my example. So again, you can see on the left side, I have a quote. It says, "He watched the waves, counting each one as if it were a small betrayal." And then that's page 4. All right, the right side is the response. Remember, you're doing a paraphrase first. So here's the paraphrase number 1. "The man is standing on the beach, watching the waves come in." Yeah, that's a paraphrase. That's context. That's telling us what is happening in this quote. Number 2 is analysis, what it reveals and why. So here we go. We are calling each wave a small betrayal, or the author is, because it shows his mistrust and emotional pain. So the sea feels like an enemy to him. And then number 3 is a connection or a question. Well, I wonder what happened to make him feel this way about the ocean, right? That's a personal connection, at least for me, because I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. So I would want to know as I'm reading this, what happened to this guy that he feels like each wave is a betrayal? All right, let's move on. On this one, you have another example. And when I zoom in on this and you take a look at this one, you can see that I just did the same thing. Here's that same quote. Here it is, my paraphrase and context, my analysis, my connection, and these are just typed. Now, sometimes students will take their written notes and they'll go back and type them. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but that's another way actually of studying, because you're reading it and then you're typing it. So that's kinesthetic, by physically doing something as you're processing the information. What I also have for you guys is sentence starters. So for this, since you're just at the beginning stage of doing dialectical journals, you might be unsure of how to get started. So feel free to use these. So when you're paraphrasing, you could say, "In other words, this means," or "the character is." What's the character doing, right? Analysis. So again, for this, you could say, "This reveals that," or "The author uses blank to show." The author uses imagery to show whatever. The author uses a metaphor to show whatever. And then this quote is important because. And then finally, here are some ways that you can do your connection or question. You could say, "This reminds me of," or "I wonder why," or "This connects to the theme of." This connects to the theme of hope because. This connects to the theme of loss because. All right. And then we're going to do a little practice, so we'll go through that momentarily, but these are the instructions for your practice. All right, so I also did this for you. So it's how to create and organize your dialectical journals. So basically, like I said earlier, each row, you're going to have one quote and one response. And remember, in that response, you have 3 elements. All right? So this means the number of rows equals the number of entries that you need to complete or determine what you should write. So I say that because I know that there are some teachers in the department who will say you need 8 dialectical journal entries, you need 6 dialectical journal entries, whatever the case may be. So some teachers are going to be really specific. Some teachers might say, oh, give me a minimum of 5. So it really depends, but that's what that general rule of thumb means. Here are some recommended layouts of what you should do if you're doing a shorter reading, for example, 1 to 3 pages, or a single scene of a play. So maybe you're in health class and you have to read 3 pages for homework. You could do it like this for, 3 pages. You would do 4 to 6 rows per page is ideal. And then again, 4 to 6 sentences per the right-hand column, because the analysis part is going to be a couple of sentences. Okay? And then I just put this here again as a visual. So again, you can see you have your one example, and then for your one example, you have 3 items. All right, so what I did for you guys is I created this practice template, and I typed up here on the top, on the left side, you're going to put your quote, page number if there is one, and then all 3 of these. So we're going to actually practice with this little article that I have, which is about why taking good notes matter, or why taking good notes matters. So this is nonfiction because it's real, and you're going to see up here that I have 3 blanks. That's because there are actually 3 literary devices that I included in here. So those are woven in naturally, and we're going to go ahead and see if you can identify them while you're reading. And I did this because A, I want to review literary devices with you, but B, I want you to see that even if you're writing an essay, you can still use figurative language to enhance what it is you're trying to communicate. Okay? So you can see that that continues here, and then this is where you can take some notes on your own. And then finally, I'm not going to show it to you now, but I have a sample of what this final practice activity would potentially look like, and I'll show that to you when we're done. So there you go. That is a mini lesson on dialectical journals. And at this point, we are done. So we're going to go through and we're going to take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause at a couple different points so that we can read through them. So here's the first part. Here's a second example. And here's a third. And there you go. Have a great day and happy reading, my lovelies.